Food Systems Changemakers Conference 2024. Please, can we give them a beautiful round of applause? Let's feel the energy. Thank you all for coming out this morning. It means a lot to us. We are super excited that you're here with us today. Now, we're starting off with an appetizer. It's an appetizer panel session. We'll be looking at the role of public-private partnership in solving governance challenges in agribusiness prosperity in Nigeria. And in doing that, please permit me to hand you over to Jafar Umar, Director General, Nigerian Agribusiness Group, NABG, to take over. Please, can we put our hands together for Jafar Umar as he comes on stage? Good morning.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome you once again to this teaser session. My name is Jafar Abakar Umar. I am the Director General of the Nigeria Agribusiness Group, and I would be moderating this fairly breezy session, if you'd like. We would be speaking to some industry experts about the role of public-private partnerships. It will be a very short session, and I would invite you to join us at the end of the session with your questions and contributions on the topic. Now, this panel conversation is quite interesting at a time that food security is a major issue in the front burner of our current generation. With everything happening within the food industry, within the agribusiness sector, and within our policy environment, it is always critical to have impactful conversations that have potential to actually be transformative and provide us with solutions that would get us to that. To these very important topic, I would be inviting some individuals, as I mentioned, industry experts, that we would have this interesting discussion with. First off, and I'm quite proud to introduce this individual, I hope he's here, Dr. Tony Bello. Dr. Tony Bello is the Pioneer Director General of the NABG. You're welcome, sir. He's my predecessor, and currently he's the board chair of Umudike Seeds and the CEO of Shinebridge Global. I would invite you, Dr. Tony Bello, please join me on stage. Yes, if we can have this discussions this morning. Following Dr. Tony Bello, it's a friend and a colleague who is very impressive and is doing so much within the ag sector. Please put your hands together for Ms. Habiba Sule, the Head of Strategic Partnerships at the TGI Group. Following Ms. Habiba, I would invite Uzoamaka Izukane Igwekwe, the Chief Executive Officer of Loom Chocolate. Please put your hands together. And last but not least, I would invite Mr. Stephen Adigun, who is the Executive Secretary of the Seed Entrepreneurs Association of Nigeria, SEDAN. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Stephen Adigun. So we would be having some conversations, and at the end of the session, I would invite the general public, you, our participants, to join us with your comments and your questions as the conversations proceed. Excellent. Good morning, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Even though I did call out your names, I would allow you a few seconds to introduce yourself to our audience here, and so tell them about your name, your position, and the company you represent today. We'll start with you, Habiba.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Good morning. My name is Habiba Suleiman, and I'm the head of strategic partnerships at TGI Group. TGI is Tropical General Investments Group. We're a multinational with diverse interests in multiple agricultural value chains and other areas in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Tony Bello. I am the chairman of the board of Umudike Seeds Company. That's my moonlighting job, but also the chairman of Shinebridge Global Incorporated. We are a food solutions company based in Chesapeake, Virginia, and we provide food technology solutions to small, medium enterprises across Africa. My particular interest is in cassava, so some of my conversations today as it relates to seed will be primarily focused on cassava. I served the former Minister of Agriculture as a senior advisor on agribusiness, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina. Okay. Now I understand the mic is on. Is the mic on now? Sir? Is the mic on? I just need to elevate my voice some more.
Yes, or bring the mic closer to you.
Okay, is the mic on? Is it?
Yes, please go on.
I see no, I see yes. Is it on?
Hello.
No.
It's not?
Can you use yours?
Okay. Maybe they'll come back to me, okay? All right, anyway, very interested in cassava seeds, and we'll be talking about that. My pleasure to be with you, and thanks for the invitation to Sahel and the organizing team. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think my mic is on. Good morning, everybody. My name is Uzo Igweike, and I'm the founder of Loom Craft Chocolates. We are cocoa bean processors and chocolate makers based here in Abuja, and we transform Nigerian cocoa beans into value-added finished products. And we also work directly with cocoa farmers across the country to transfer knowledge and help them improve their post-harvest processing. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Adigun Oludapo from Seed Entrepreneurs Association of Nigeria with the acronym SEEDAN. SEEDAN is the umbrella body for seed producers, even researchers in the country. The association is tailored towards professionalism in terms of ensuring that farmers get the best varieties that they require at the right time and at a fair price. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will be diving into this conversation fully, and I would love to start this session with, I don't know if you guys caught it earlier, but I said Dr. Tony Bello is actually the pioneer Director General of the Nigeria Agribusiness Group, my predecessor. So I would love to kick off this conversation with you, sir. Now, we're talking about the theme of this conference, innovative governance models, and as it relates to public-private partnerships now. Given your experience, in the agricultural sector and your role at the seed companies and your particular interests in cassava, are you able to tell us how valuable you feel public-private partnerships are in driving inclusive governance models, and what likely impacts are those partnerships likely to have for us, especially now and going into the future?
Very well, thank you so much. Good to see you again. Is my mic on now?
Maybe you can use this one.
Can we confirm if Dr. Bello's mic is working, please?
Yeah.
Okay, we have another mic.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear myself now. Yeah, and thanks for sharing. Really, as I thought about this conference, I was reminded of the role of the public-private sector in creative governance models. Think about it, in 2015, I believe, we wrote a proposal and submitted a proposal to the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. What was the outcome of that public-private partnership? You mentioned Nigeria Agribusiness Group. This is the apex public sector institution that was built during the agricultural transformation agenda. In collaboration with the private sector, SEDAN, FEPSAN, and the Nigeria Agribusiness Group, we were able to institute what is now called the Nigerian Agricultural Seed Council Act of 2019. If there was no private sector engagement, we probably would not have that law or that act today. I repealed an act that was from like 2000 or in the 1970s. So that's one major accomplishment I have seen. The Fertilizer Quality Control Bill also came out of the public-private partnership and governance model that was instituted under AGRA. The delivery of electronic delivery of farm inputs during the agricultural transformation agenda also comes to mind, where we were working at the time with seed vendors, make sure the quality of the seeds were at par, and whether it was for rice, I personally worked with Syngenta to bring Syngenta back to Nigeria. So there are so many examples. I think at the end of the day, one thing that is clear is there must be accountability, clearly defined roles and responsibilities between our civil servants in terms of the public sector and the private sector groups. We have to work on taking out corrupt practices where individuals may see public funds or even donor funds as their personal property. And I can talk a little bit more about that, but at the end of the day, I think the key things to support this public-private partnership effort is innovative financing. We found that with AGRA. They supported the programs with a total budget of almost $1 million USD. That's an innovative financing model that has helped Nigeria to move forward. Institutionalization of cluster farming is so important. We can't reach all individual farmers, but let us also think about cooperatives, strong cooperatives where we can reach the smallholder farmers. Leveraging technology for distribution of seeds, and I mentioned that before. At the time, we called it Growth Enhancement Support Scheme, where we were reaching farmers through e-wallet system. Policies and regulations are there, but we must find institutional mechanisms to implement the acts and the laws that we have in the land. And last but not the least is building capacity. But we must define this with clear roles and responsibilities for the private sector and the public sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Dr. Tony, please. I'll go to you now, Habiba. I mean, the TGI group, WACOT, WASIL, you know, some very, very innovative business models actually exist within that ecosystem. Tell us whether there's a role that public-private partnerships has played in ensuring the success of some of these business models within the TGI group.
Thank you very much for that question. So here's the thing, right? We all agree that government cannot do everything. Government cannot be everywhere. And in most cases, the closest entities or institutions to rural communities that produce 90% of our foods are private sector players, right? So what this means is then that private sector must actively inform government policies when we're talking about food security. Those experiences must be part of what is, informing the curation of what is informing how food security systems are working, what mechanisms work, what has worked, what has failed. And so one example, again, I think like Dr. Bello echoed, was that for us, it was a simple case of before we even set up manufacturing and value addition, we had to make sure that there was a supply base for that to happen. There were farmers that were producing. And deliberately, so for us, TGI does not do commercial farming. It's a deliberate strategy to ensure that we're backward integrating. And as you know, that's part of, an emphatic government policy that says when you're setting up, there's so much incentive to support smallholder farmers. There's so much encouragement to work with smallholder farmers. So across all of our value chains, for example, rice being a prime example because Nigeria consumes a lot of rice, is that we actively invested in outgrower farming. Smallholder farmers provide agri-input financing, bring in capacity building support. And again, obviously, speaking to what I said prior about how that presence and that local presence that you have also means that you're better informed about those problems at that level, right? So again, all of the issues about climate change impact, I better understand because I'm on the ground, I know, right? And it affects my raw material supply. So I have to do something about it. And so TGI, we always say that we're a solutions-driven company because a lot of our investments you see are around finding solutions for problems that we found on the ground. Even it doesn't matter if government was supposed to do it. We realize that, look, for my business to thrive, I have to invest in this. I have to support smallholder farmers to provide quality quality agricultural produce that feeds into my product. And again, I like to say as well that a lot of, today Kebbi, for example, is the leading rice producing state in Nigeria. It wasn't like that, a couple of years back. And this is because of deliberate investment in rice producing, for smallholder farmers, providing that support, providing extension services where it's not there, providing access to finance where it's not there, whether or not you're a microfinance company, whether it means you have to rework your model to ensure that farmers have access to quality agri-input financing, providing markets where there's a fragmented value chain, structure in those places. So all of these things for me speaks to the fact that government needs to actively work with private sector players in that space. That's the only way to ensure that solutions are sustainable because it will be there for a very long time, right? So that's the best way really to ensure that these solutions are mainstreamed all the way to where they matter, and also ensure that we're actively achieving larger food security goals, larger job creation goals, climate adaptation, whatever it is you want, because there's a model that is sustainable at that level.
Round of applause, please, for Habiba. Uzuamaka, chocolate. I'm sure a large number of people, including myself in this room, are fans of your products. But in most cases, we don't know the story behind the production, the different actors along the value chains when it comes to chocolate production.
Sorry to cut you short, but the audio is not very clear. Yes, the audio is not very clear. Yes, so maybe, exactly, so it's a bit distorted. So maybe if you bring the mic a bit closer to your mouth,
closer?
so I can make out the words.
Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Much better, okay. So I'm asking for you to tell us those stories that we obviously don't see within the value chain that produces chocolate at the end of the day. And how would you say your industry connects with the public sector to ensure that as a private sector organization, you thrive and provide value to your customers?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. So yes, what we do is basically work with cocoa farmers, and Loomcraft Chocolate was basically set up to add value to Nigerian cocoa beans, and that's exactly what we do. We make value-added products like chocolate bars for sale, both in country and to be exported as well. So when you talk about stories that, people are not very aware of, what goes behind the scene, upstream and downstream, I'll give you something I noticed basically when we started working with cocoa farmers. We noticed that the cocoa farmers are not necessarily used to, Nigerian cocoa farmers are not used to processing their cocoa beans in a way that you can make really high quality chocolate from it. So normally when you harvest cocoa, there are several post-harvest processes that you're supposed to go through, including fermentation and drying. And typically fermentation takes 5 days and drying could take up to 7, between 5 and 7 days. So the total amount of time after harvest in certain cases could be up to 14 days. But you find that there are so many issues, upstream, and one of them being poverty sort of prevents the farmers from actually spending the amount of time, the appropriate amount of time in these post-harvest processes. So what they do is that they harvest and go straight to drying and then try to sell off. Of course, in a bid to make back money to plant again and to go into the next harvest season. And at the end of the day, the quality of the cocoa is very low. I mean, you can't use it to make high-quality chocolates, and most people that buy it up just make end products that are overly sweetened and full of chemical preservatives. So what we did, because we're working on a small scale, one of the things that I discovered when I was researching how to make chocolate was that you don't need to have more than 2 ingredients in a chocolate bar, just your cocoa bean and your sugar. So with high-quality cocoa beans and sugar, you are able to make, beautiful, delicious chocolate. So what we did is that we started to train the farmers that we work with and also incentivize them, because if they're spending more time, you need to be paying for that time. So what we do is that we pay up to 30% more than the farm gate price. So that way, they spend, the 14 days, up to 14 days, between 10 and 14 days, fermenting properly so that you have the quality of cocoa that you need. And at the end of the day, we find that is a mutually beneficial relationship in that they get decent and fair wages while we will get the quality that we need to make good chocolate. That's one of the examples of the things that we discovered when we started working with cocoa farmers. And then when you talk about how governance models can help we in the industry, I believe that there are several ways. And what I will start with also with examples, is models that basically enhance the value chain operations, basically. So I broke it down into 2. We talk about platforms and you talk about policies. When you talk about platforms, you need some sort of a mechanism to bring all these actors together so that they are able to transact in a transparent way, and institutional voids are sort of breached. And I'll give an example with what we have in the cocoa industry. It's a digital platform called Cocoa Connect. And Cocoa Connect is actually a digital platform that is sponsored by Nexim and implemented by Safital. And what it does is that it brings cocoa players across the continent in Africa under the same platform. So you register, you submit your CAC, you submit your ID, and then you're verified. What happens is that I'm now able to, there are several things actually, but number one, my cost of discovery is greatly minimized in that I'm in Abuja, my factory is in Abuja, but I don't have to make the trip to Taraba State. I don't have to make the trip to Akwa Ibom to discover new farmers, right? So my cost of discovery is reduced. And then platforms like that build trust in that because I know that the people I'm dealing with on Cocoa Connect are verified, I'm not afraid to do business with them. Yeah. Then when you talk about policies, I feel like policies that encourage cooperatives, policies that encourage aggregation centers and traceability systems, for example.
Recording stopped.
Will help strengthen, the value chain generally. Then apart from that, if you talk about, let's say, access to premium markets, for example, because we know that's where the money is. I'm a proponent of creating balance when it comes to local consumption and export. I don't believe all our cocoa should be exported. I believe that we should actually invest in value addition and take advantage of the huge population in the country and also feed the nation. I mean, there's more to cocoa than chocolate, right? Cocoa is like
recording in
superfood,
progress.
and if we can find innovative ways to process it that is not as expensive as chocolate, most of the population will be able to access the nutrients and all the benefits within cocoa. Back to export, sorry. So I believe that, you know, for us in our company, what we do is that we target to sell half of our products in country and the other half for export. But for you to access the premium markets, which is mostly in Europe and in the US, you have to meet very stringent quality, traceability, and sustainability requirements. And if we have models that help us achieve these requirements, then we can strengthen the value chain and also access that market without jeopardizing what we consume locally. And I'll give another example just the last one and then I'll go. I'll give another example of how PPP also plays a part and how it's working. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council works with Nigerian SMEs to help them achieve some of these certifications. So if you're going to sell chocolate abroad and you intend to be competitive, you need to talk about organic certifications, you need to talk about fair trade and all that. So what NEPC does is that it partners with certification organizations, right? So they don't give the SMEs, for example, direct grants, but they do give you access to these certifications absolutely for free. So in that way, you have a tripartite agreement and everybody benefits. NEPC is able to achieve its objective of promoting exports. The certification organizations now get a customer for life because certifications expire and you need to renew. While we as the SMEs get some sort of a launching pad, right? We're not starting from scratch. We don't need to invent because certifications are not cheap, right? But NEPC gives us that platform to launch free of charge and make our products accessible globally. Sorry for taking too much time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Stephen, I mean, seed, that's where it basically all starts from, right? And I know that there is a seed policy that is currently being promoted by the National Seed Council. So my question to you now is, how is Sudan partnering with the Seed Council to ensure that this seed policy that is supposed to protect farmers and basically ensure our food security being implemented effectively across the country? If you can make it a bit snappy too, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a minute. Yes, seed itself is the beginning point for any agricultural transformation, as you have mentioned earlier. But one key thing that is very crucial for farmers to be able to benefit from the policies that are on ground has to do with what? We need to strengthen the seed certification and quality control process itself, because that's what gives assurances to farmers that, yes, this particular variety that I've bought, this seed that I've bought is of good quality, and if I invest in cultivating it, I'll get value from it. And in the old system itself, there's a need to have a system that is transparent, a system that is accountable, and a one that responds to consequence management, whereby there are strict regulations in terms of ensuring that farmers have quality seeds in the market. At Sudan, what we do is that we ensure that our members and even seed producers in Nigeria produce the highest quality seeds for our farmers. It's not an easy task, but it involves advocacy, even going down to the farmer level through the use of seed demonstration field days, as well as establishment of demo plots closer to the farmers. And last but not the least, it has to do with what? Ensuring that farmers in these remote areas become seed agents in their communities, whereby they're able to serve the farmers therein. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know I'm being pushed for time, but do you think we have at least 5 minutes to just get, even if it's one question from the audience? Any comment, question for our panelists here? We have a young lady at the front here. Can we get her a mic? Okay. She's seated here? Over here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much. Uzamaka, can you speak more to NIPC and NEPC? Because I think this forum should hear that.
They're both different. What I actually referenced was NEPC, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. But I think NIPC is something to do with investments, right? But I haven't really done any work with NIPC, so that I can't really speak much on that. But yes, I work with NEPC, and any business that is serious about exporting has to have that relationship with NEPC. And one thing I would say to anybody that is trying to explore a relationship with NEPC is just walk up to them. I think that generally we as SMEs tend to shy away from government agencies because of, should I say, maybe a poor track record, I don't know what to call it, but the approach I've always taken was to just go there, just walk into the office and tell them, introduce yourself, let them know you would like to see the DG, you'd like to see somebody in charge, right? Just go there, and that's exactly what I did with NEPC. And the benefits I've gotten from NEPC include certification, access to trade shows, and generally access to exhibitions, both in country and outside of the country. So let's not underestimate the strength of the agencies now. We can just approach them and access the benefits of having them around. Thank you.
Can we have one more person, preferably Emil?
Thank you very much. I'm by name Joseph Estefanos. I'm a rice farmer, and in my cluster we have about 20,000 hectares of rice farm. I'm going straight to see that. As a local farmer, how can we have access to your programs in such a way that, because definitely we have a need of intervention that we are the cluster. So we want to see what are the programs that you have made for the local farmers. How can we have access to that? Thank you very much. Your location, please.
I'm not sure I got the question.
Thank you very much.
Your question is how can your cluster of farmers have access to programs?
Yeah, what are the programs? They are programs meant for the local farmers.
Whose programs?
Sedan.
Sedan, okay.
Yes, Sedan.
Okay.
And how can we have access to them?
Sure.
Thank you very much. My name is Theophilus Danladi Davara. I'm a rice farmer too. Talking about Sedan. As a local farmer, I've come to discover that whenever one buys hybrid seedlings, there is this tendency that for that first year, there will be a harvest that is huge. But as time goes on, if out of the harvest, some is kept for the subsequent planting, the harvest tends to go down. So I want to ask that, how long can a particular seedling be used before purchasing another hybrid for same product? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Both together, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will just start with the last question on hybrid seed. Hybrid seed is different from open pollinated seed. hybrid seed is when you plant it the first season, you are meant to get 100% of the yield potential of that particular hybrid seed. But when you now go to save the seed from it and plant it the next year, you are expected to get like 75% of it. The next season, it gets down to about 50%. Whereas for open pollinated variety, that does not usually apply to it because the genetic composition of it is different. For an hybrid, you have parents from, or two or more parents from who have different traits that are being combined to get this particular trait. So that's the reason why you get that kind of thing, because you have to go back to the seed company to procure the seeds for hybrid seed itself. And closely related to that has to do with the first question, which has to do with what are the programs available. The major problem that is affecting some farmers in Nigeria is that they are unstructured in terms of not forming cooperatives. There is a model being used in potato value chain in the Netherlands, which brings potato farmers into a cooperative whereby they are able to access finance, carry out research and development on the varieties that are best suited to their production system. So in terms of programs, there have been past initiatives, the Anchor Borrower program, the Growth Enhancement Support Scheme itself. Currently, there is one called Nigeria Agro Pockets Input Distribution Scheme in the country itself. And currently, there is a platform that is being worked on whereby farmers can connect to know the available varieties as well as the quantities and even the companies that have such varieties. The software is being developed at the moment, and it will be shared and disseminated to the public once it's ready to enhance market distribution and market access. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I guess this brings us to the end of this session. I can see a few hands up. Can we please network offline so that we can keep the conversations going? We do have to move the conference along. Thank you very much to our panelists. I wish we had more time to discuss a bit more on partnerships, but this has been fruitful. Thank you so much. And thank you to our audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again to our panelists and to our moderator. Please, can we stay back for a group photograph, please? Jafar Umar, please kindly stay back for a group photograph. Thank you. Many thanks to our moderator, Jafar Umar, Director General, Nigerian Agribusiness Group, NABG. And they have been looking at the role of public-private partnership in solving governance challenges for agribusiness prosperity in Nigeria. Once again, please, let's put our hands together for them. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, our distinguished guests. If you're just walking in, we want to thank you for coming to the Sahel Food Systems Changemakers Conference 2024. We really appreciate the fact that you're here and that you have chosen to spend your Thursday morning with us. And at this moment, I'd like to please crave your indulgence to please rise as we now take on the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the opening prayer. Thank you all. Okay, so if we're ready, please let's go. Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle on earth, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build the nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Thank you very much. You may please be seated. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers, Chairman, Sahel Consultant, notable dignitaries present here, it is my distinct honor to specially welcome you to the Sahel Food System Changemakers Conference 2024. My name is Zulaihat Belagobir, and I am a broadcast journalist and an event compere. Thank you for having me. Well, I'll be working with my sign language interpreter and the team. Please, thank you very much for having us. Please, on that note, can we put our hands together, to appreciate the team that have worked tirelessly to put this event together. I think we need to support them more with a louder applause. Thank you. Well, this year's theme, Innovative Governance Models, a Pathway to Food Security in Nigeria. As we all know, Nigeria's journey towards food security is a complex and urgent challenge. Food security is a fundamental human right, a pressing issue that millions worldwide grapple with. This conference will serve as a platform for exchanging ideas, showcasing innovations, and catalyzing actions towards building resilient and sustainable food systems. Together, we can harness the power of innovative governance to ensure a future where all Nigerians have access to nutritious and affordable food. As we officially commence, please permit me to welcome Temitope Adegore. Temi is a business leader and agribusiness expert with experience in supporting the key actors in African agriculture and food ecosystem to build resilient business models to achieve food system sustainability. Temi is the managing partner at Sahel Consulting, and his deep-seated passion and commendable professional trajectory have earned him a reputable as a seasoned strategist and an astute manager, expertly guiding the company through the complex terrains of client engagement, project execution, and overall strategic direction. Very distinguished guests, please let's put our hands together for Temitope Adegore, Managing Partner, Sahel Consulting Agriculture Nutrition Limited, for his welcome address. You're welcome, Temi.
The Honorable Minister, Federal Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagodo. The Minister is currently on his way and is very close. The Honorable Minister of State, Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi. The German Ambassador to Nigeria, Annette Gunther, thank you for being here. The Head of Cooperation of the European Union, Massimo De Luca, thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. The Mission Director, United States Agency for International Development, USAID in Nigeria, Melissa Hay Jones, Thank you very much for being here. My able chairman at Sahel Consulting, Mezo Iwuneli, country directors of development organizations and heads of various organizations and private sector companies here present, distinguished actors in the food ecosystem in Nigeria. Thank you all for making it to this very important gathering today. Distinguished guests, good morning and a warm welcome to the 2024 Sahel Food Systems Changemakers Conference. I'm deeply grateful to each of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here today. It is truly a pleasure to see so many familiar faces in the room. Our partners, thought leaders, experts, and advocates for a stronger Nigeria food system all gathered here. Your presence is greatly appreciated. I would like to extend special thanks to esteemed partners who have worked alongside us to make this vital and timely conference possible. My gratitude goes to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, the German Development Corporation, the United States Agency for International Development, Mercy Corps, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, Chemonix International, IFA International, the International Food Policy Research Institute, and the Center for Journalism, Innovation, and Development for their invaluable collaboration and sponsorship. Thank you so much for working together with us in this journey. At Sahel Consulting, our mission is deeply rooted in transforming the agricultural and nutrition landscape. We do this through extensive collaboration with various stakeholders, governments, agencies, international development organizations, and private entities. Our work spans market research across key value chains, policy engagements, strategic advisory, and implementation of innovative ecosystem solutions, programs, and business models. We believe that the development actors and private sector organizations are pivotal to driving growth within this sector, and we provide them with the tools and support needed for success. Together with our sister organization, the African Food Changemakers, we are uniquely positioned to address the challenges facing our food systems. We actively engage with public and private sector players to implement high-impact interventions, ranging from seed systems development and agribusiness support to livelihood improvements, market systems development, gender equity, youth empowerment, and policy design, and of course, policy implementation. These initiatives target critical areas in the agricultural sector, helping to drive sustainable growth and positive change. As we all gather here today, we do so at a time of immense significance, and I believe you will all agree with me, that climate change is no longer a distant concern or threat to us. It is an immediate reality, and it's impacting all aspects of our lives, especially our diet and food systems. Despite Nigeria's rich culinary heritage, food insecurity persists. As of the third quarter of 2024 this year, food inflation has reached about 33%, with most Nigerian households spending nearly 60% of their income on food. Additionally, about 31.8 million Nigerians were still food insecure as of August 2024. These figures underscore the importance of the Sahel's Food Systems Changemakers Conference and the continued effort in convening this important gathering in addressing the gaps within Nigeria's food system. Last year, our conference focused on rethinking food and nutrition security in the face of climate change and catalyzed actions. We actually catalyzed a number of actions, and I'll mention a few of those actions. The first one, the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition conducted sensitization sessions across several states in Nigeria in a bid to promote the adoption of the subnational food systems dashboard as a tool for evidence decision-making or policy-making in Nigeria. And we know that GAIN has been doing a lot of work in really helping various partners in the ecosystem to adopt the National Food System Dashboard and ensure that we actually start to use the data in that dashboard to drive policy making and evidence-based decision making across various organizations. Number two, Sahel Consulting, with funding from the Bill Amanda Gates Foundation, launched the Building Sustainable Climate Monitoring for Resilient Agricultural Systems. And I see Dr. Audu smiling. We tried to use Dr. Haudu's picture trying to launch that project earlier in 2024. This project is focused on developing early warning systems for smallholder farmers and other actors in the sector. This project is directly supporting key government institutions responsible for climate early warning systems in Nigeria, including NIMET, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Federal Ministry of Environment, and NEMA, and a few other government institutions. NIMET also established the National Framework on Climate Services, and a committee has been inaugurated by the Director General of NIMET, supported by the World Meteorological Organization. And an MOU also is currently being signed with MTN and a few other telecommunication organizations to enable smallholder farmers to access reliable climate information via mobile technology. Number three, the Sijata Foundation for Sustainable Agriculture, which was a partner last year, developed a strategy to harmonize smallholder farmers' dashboard and is currently seeking funding to support the implementation of this. This platform will provide market price, weather information, agro-dealer networks, and other critical data disaggregated by state and LGAs, and it will be available to various partners in the ecosystem. Now, this year, we aim to amplify innovative governance models that can offer fresh perspectives and practical solutions to the challenges facing Nigeria's food systems. We recognize that inefficient governance structures, inadequate policies, and limited collaboration have hindered progress in our food systems for so long. Achieving food security in Nigeria requires governance innovations that foster efficient, evidence-based decision-making. And our goal this year is to identify actionable steps and establish a framework for mutual accountability. Sahel Consulting is ready to collaborate with key organizations to turn the ideas and strategies from this conference into reality, promoting innovative governance models that will drive sustainable growth in the agricultural sector. I wish all of us a productive and impactful conference. Your presence and active participation are invaluable, and together we will look forward to shaping a more secure, sustainable, and resilient food future for Nigerians and beyond. Thank you for being here, and you're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again, Temitope Adigore. Can we put our hands together for him? Beautiful welcome address. And on that note, I think we're progressing, and we are about to take the chairman's address. Our very distinguished guest, Mezo Umuneli, Board Chair, Sahel Consulting Agriculture and Nutrition Limited. Mezo has over 2 decades of experience in private equity, investment banking, and corporate finance. He launched Sahel Capital's debut fund, FAFIN, in 2014 and SEFA in 2021. He oversees investment capital deployment and portfolio management at Sahel Capital. Mezo serves on the boards of Sahel Capital's portfolio companies, AVCA, NABII, and is a founding director of PEVCA. He also co-founded AACE Foods and Sahel Consulting in 2010 and remains a non-executive director of both organizations. Mezo holds an MBA from Harvard Business School and a BSc in Industrial Management from Carnegie Mellon University. Our very distinguished guest, please let's put our hands together for the chairman's address. I think we should sustain it until he gets here. Thank you.
Very excited to be here this morning. And I especially want to thank Temi Adegoroye, Aisha, Hedija, and Chindu Abara, who have provided leadership to Sahel Consulting over the years, and they and the team have really been instrumental in putting this conference together. So please, if we'll give them a warm round of applause for the hard work they've done over the past few years. Now, the passion underlying a lot of this work for the conference is really how do we address food security in Nigeria? Because if we don't address this base need that underpins quite a bit of economic growth, there are a number of key indicators that would not be able to achieve. And it's such a critical element, not only for just addressing the basic food needs of individuals, but also economic and political security within the country. If we look at the US, across the European Union as well, even in Kenya, if there are issues around this requirement, it can frequently lead to unrest and instability. Nutrition as well is quite critical, because if from early years of a child's growth, the child doesn't have adequate nutrition to ensure full growth, they will not be able to reach their food potential. So for us, addressing this critical requirements around food security and nutrition is paramount to a lot of the work that we do. Now, ultimately, we can't do this by ourselves. We're very reliant with the partners we have around the table. And I want to make sure I take a few minutes to specifically recognize some of the partners that have enabled us to do the work that we do across the region. And first of all, I would like to thank GIZ and Marcus Wagner for GIZ's consistent support over the years. I believe it's been 3 back-to-back continuous years you've been with us with your partnership. Thank you very much. GIZ has been very active in Nigeria since 1974, working very actively across all the value chains. And then even behind GIZ, the German government has been quite supportive, even with KfW and other engagements. So thank you very much, Marcus, for all the work you've done over the years supporting us. I also like to thank Gain and Michael Ojo for your work and your continuous support over the years, as well as Indubisi and Anyanwu with Mercy Corps. The past 2 years, you've been consistent supporters, and we're very thankful that we can call on both GIZ, Gain, and Mercy Corps for support every year as we organize this conference, because without your support, this would not be possible. And of course, Douglas Griffith as well, with your support. Thank you very much with your support for this conference as well. I'd also like to thank HIFER and IFPRI, Cascade for your work. I'd like to touch on Melissa Jones and USAID. And the interesting thing about USAID, very active in Africa since 1960. I think personally, with your career, you've done quite a bit within health, the health space, just ensuring health outcomes for individuals. With your current portfolio, you're seeing a broader range of activity, ensuring inclusive growth in Nigeria. And I know behind many organizations stand USAID. So thank you for that consistent support you've given in Nigeria over the many years. Dr. Audu and the Gates Foundation has been an active partner of Sahel Consulting for I don't even know how many years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, across many different projects. So want to definitely thank you for all the work you've done. The EU, thank you for your support, Massimo, as well. And you know, my job is very easy. It was really thanking people for all the support. But I think with the insights that are going to come through the conversations we're going to have during this session, I think underpinning a lot of that is how are we providing nuggets of information support to the entrepreneurs in the room, to the farmers in the room, to see how can we be a catalyst for their growth, because it's you in the audience in the room that are really going to drive a lot of the change that is going to happen in this economy. And really we're here to see how do we support you with ideas, knowledge, insights, potentially financial support to make sure you achieve that objective. So I'd like to thank you and welcome you again. And if I'd have the honor of kicking off this session, welcome again to the 3rd annual Food Systems Changemakers Conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman Sahel Consulting, Mezur Umwuneli. Once again, can we put our hands together for him? And at this juncture, would start taking goodwill messages from our amazing speakers. Very distinguished guests, permit me to please welcome on stage Ndubisi Anyanwu, Country Director, Mercy Corps, Nigeria. I wanted to take a brief bio, but then again, you came on time.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and all the changemakers in the room, on behalf of Mercy Corps, I'm honored to extend our warmest greetings and goodwill to all the participants of this great conference. This gathering reflects our shared commitment to creating sustainable, inclusive, and resilient food systems in Nigeria and beyond. At Mercy Corps, we believe that innovation and collaboration are at the heart of the transformation required for food security in Nigeria. Through programs such as our Feed the Future Rural Resilience activity, we have seen firsthand the power of local solutions, community-driven governance, and the critical role that partnerships play in shaping a more food-secure future. In a country as dynamic as Nigeria, innovative governance models are not only necessary, they are vital. Our work under the Rural Resilience activity and other programs has shown us that empowering communities with the tools and the resources that they need, we can build resilient livelihoods, we can strengthen value chains, and we can unlock opportunities for smallholder farmers, for women, and for youth. Through this, we address both the immediate and the long-term challenges of food insecurity. But as we know, and as the chair had mentioned, we can't do this alone. No organization can do this alone. It is through partnerships across governments, private sector, civil society, and international development organizations that we can drive true systemic change. We are proud to collaborate with stakeholders who share our vision of a future where every Nigerian has access to nutritious food and where food systems are resilient to the shocks of climate change, conflict, and economic instability. As we engage in discussions over the next couple of days, I want to implore all of you in this room to continue to embrace the spirit of innovation, the spirit of partnership that this conference represents. Together, we can shape governance models that not only promote food security, but also support the dignity and the aspirations of the millions of Nigerians who rely on agriculture for their livelihoods. I want to thank the Sahel team and all the partners for convening this event. At Mercy Corps, we remain committed alongside all of you to building a stronger, more resilient, food-secure Nigeria. I want to thank everyone and wishing us a productive conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ndubisi Anyanwu, Country Director, Mercy Corps, Nigeria. And next up, we have Country Director, Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, Nigeria, Michael Ojo. Please, can we put our hands together as Michael Ojo comes on stage for his goodwill message? You're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. And please permit me to stand on the protocols already established for this meeting. We face a crisis of food and nutrition insecurity in Nigeria, but I know I'm talking to a room full of people who already know this. I was listening to the spokesperson of the president yesterday evening talking about the shifts in the cabinet. And the question came up about food insecurity. And he said the magic words, this is the biggest challenge we are facing as a nation. So if we thought they didn't know this, well, now they do. And I think when we think about malnutrition, it's costing us billions of dollars in lost productivity alone as a country. But we also know that nutrition is connected to the food that we have available to us. and we know that food systems, the way that food gets produced and then gets translated to our tables, has an impact on malnutrition. And so we have to transform our food systems to enable them produce more, to enable them produce the right types of food, and to deliver food and nutrition security to our people. But when we talk about food systems transformation, we also know that it is a complex issue. It brings in multiple parts of government. It relies heavily on the private sector. It requires the support of those of us in this room who are, if you like, ecosystem actors or support. And so I think when you think about this more deeply, you begin to get to a sense that the key issue that we need to be looking at and dealing with is actually the coordination and the governance of our transformation of food systems. And that's why, you know, this year's conference is really critical. That's why, you know, it's important from our perspective that we focus on governance models for food system transformation. For those of you who don't know who GAIN is, our purpose is to improve or advance nutritional outcomes by improving the consumption of nutritious and safe food for all people, especially the most vulnerable in our society. We have a number of, where we have impact and dietary shift targets, but at the hardest impact level, we're already improving the consumption of nutritious foods and currently reaching about 31 million people with that. So we are really pleased to be partnering with Sahel. Sahel, they do a lot of the kind of things that we think are important to really move this conversation, but beyond conversation, action forward in Nigeria, supporting the ecosystem, actually delivering projects on the ground, convening, you know, like this, bringing the right people into the room. And we look forward to a very successful conference today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that electrifying address. Please, can we put our hands together for Michael Ojo, Country Director, Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. All right, for the next goodwill message, very distinguished guest, please let's put our hands together as I welcome on stage German Ambassador to Nigeria, Annette Gunther. You're welcome.
Thank you, Zulayhat. Thank you, Timmy, Aisha, everyone, organizers. Thank you for having me. I stand on existing protocols. Good morning, everyone. It is a great honor to address this important conference, and it was said by previous speakers how important it is at this point in time. I speak on behalf of the German government at this time of unprecedented challenges, but also immense opportunities. It is a particular and important, significant year for us as it marks 50 years of German development cooperation in Nigeria. Mizu, you named the year 1974. This is when we officially started. Our cooperation, of course, dates back many, many more years. But since then, it's half a century of shared commitment, progress, and partnership. Over the decades, German cooperation has been dedicated to support Nigeria in the pursuit of sustainable development and resilience. At the heart of this cooperation lies our shared vision of food systems transformation, which we believe is critical to addressing the intertwined challenges of food security, environmental sustainability, and inclusive economic growth. Food systems do more than just feed people. They are the backbone of livelihoods, economies, and also our environment. However, the current practices, not only in Nigeria, are not fit for the future that we envision. As our world changes, our food systems must evolve, and we must meet the needs of growing populations while respecting the environmental limits of our planet. The German government, through its cooperation efforts, is fully committed to rethinking and reshaping how food is produced, distributed, and consumed in Nigeria. Our approach goes beyond increasing productivity. It is about creating food systems that are inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. These food systems must not only ensure food security, but also protect the environment, promote equitable economic growth, and improve social, improve social outcomes. The transformation must balance 4 critical dimensions of food systems: the people, profits, planet, and purpose. It's not just about generating economic outcomes, but about ensuring sustainable livelihoods, protecting our environment, and fostering social equity. As partners, Germany, we are working on multiple fronts to create agri-food systems that are economically viable, environmentally sound, and socially inclusive. In Nigeria, we are proud to support efforts that span from increasing access to nutritious food, improving agricultural finance, to reducing post-harvest losses, especially through innovations like agroecology, renewable energy, for more productive use. These initiatives address the complexities of food systems, recognizing that agricultural value chains alone are not enough. We also must consider environmental outcomes and ensure responsible use of natural resources in a holistic and balanced way. Agri-food systems have been transforming throughout human history. Let us just think about the modern plant breeding revolution, or the emergence of supermarkets and the way they impact the way we produce and consume foods. Current debate is not only about observing food system transformation, but about intentionally intervening, about using this knowledge about how the system works in order to change it for better and make it deliver the outcomes we desire. This implies a paradigm shift. Rather than just focusing on raising productivity to bring more food to the table, a transformative agenda tries to leverage the multifunctionality of agri-food systems and having effect on additional outcomes such as climate and biodiversity. It's about building resilience. It's about ensuring that food systems can adapt to crises, from extreme weather events to economic fluctuations, which are already being felt very much here in Nigeria. We are committed to working in partnership with all of you, government, civil society, private sector, local communities, to foster the kind of transformation that will lead to a better and more sustainable future for all of us. And as we celebrate 50 years of development partnership in Nigeria, I would like to highlight that we have made some remarkable achievements together as a result of strong partnerships with everyone. Government on federal and state level, civil society, and local communities. However, the journey does not stop here. The challenges we face require even greater collective action. We must embrace a genuine transformation requiring innovative solutions and the collaboration of everyone. Let me conclude by emphasizing that this is not a task we can achieve in isolation. Over the past 5 decades, German cooperation has been built on the values of partnership and shared vision, and we remain steadfast in our commitment to working together, as we believe that only through collective action we can achieve the meaningful change that is required and that we are talking about here. Food systems transformation requires deep and sustained cooperation. It requires the input and expertise of all sectors of societies. It requires a vision of the future that is ambitious, sustainable, and inclusive. As we look to the future, we are confident that with continued cooperation, innovation, and determination, we can create a food system that not only meets the needs of today, but also safeguards the well-being of future generations. And on this note, I wish us a very insightful conference, very lively discussions, and the participants, the feeling that they go home enriched with more knowledge, with more partnerships, with more connections, so that they can contribute, that we can work together on this food systems transformation that we need. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Annette Gunther, German ambassador to Nigeria. Once again, can we put our hands together for her? Beautiful welcome, goodwill message there. Once again, we want to thank you all for joining us here at Sahel Food System Changemakers Conference 2024. As we walk in, we really appreciate your presence here. Good morning once again to all of us. Still taking a goodwill message. Please permit me to welcome Massimo De Luca, Head of Cooperation, European Union, up on stage for his goodwill message. Please, with a round of applause. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me today. I think that it's a great honor, and I would like to acknowledge really the authorities here with us, the minister, the representatives of the missions in Nigeria. I see Melissa, I see the German ambassador, our partners, Marcus Wagner from GIZ, and all the other partners that are so steadfast in their work with us and with Nigeria. I fully echo what the German ambassador just said in two main respects. First, the breadth of the work that we are called to embrace as partners. There is a really huge array of matters that we are called to cover, and they are all important, all imperative to address the challenges that we face. From the science-based research down to working on family, household nutrition issues that arise in the country, and everything in between. This is the first aspect that I would like to emphasize of our work. The second, the importance of partnerships. Indeed, it is imperative to work all together. And I would like to refer now today to the work that we do as a donors community within the Nigerian Donor Partner Group, where indeed we do work together. We work together not only in aligning our actions, getting to know what we do, getting to know about the synergies, but also taking positions as to specific steps that we can take together to tackle the challenges that we face. In this respect, I would like to maybe highlight a few dimensions of our work as European Union and, as I said, together with the donor community here in Nigeria. The security challenge. Food security is security, security is food security. Now, the nexus has become very obvious to everybody. What we face really in the farms throughout the country is a huge issue, indeed. I still expect a bumper harvest this year. I would like to be confirmed that this year is going to be a bumper harvest despite everything. But indeed, the situation for farmers when it comes to security is very dire. And we need to look at the dimension, security in the farm. We are working with our implementation partners to improve security in the farms. On the other hand, we need to improve on the food security, because unfortunately, food insecurity is fueling insecurity in the country. And with the support of our partners, GIZ in particular, I must say, we are really looking at addressing food insecurity in insecurity-affected regions. We just signed a contract that we call SUSI, which is a project that covers generally basically all the aspects of conflict-ridden areas, but in particular addressing the situations where the security situation, like in Borno, is compounded by climate insecurity, and trying to support communities in those areas, in Borno, around the Lake Chad, to have the means to sustain themselves and to have schemes, social, let's call them social protection schemes generally, but that really target nutrition in particular. By the same token, we are working on hydroponic agriculture in Kaduna, for example, and we are trying also to support those value chains in the north and in the middle belt that can be critical in reversing the paradigm, the security paradigm, and the food insecurity paradigm of those areas. I really loved the NICOP program that we implemented with our German friends. They have a stand outside, and I'm afraid the stand doesn't really necessarily explain the beauty of the project. There are things, success stories in that project, like the impact on tomato production, like their ability to export organic ginger to the European Union, that still impress me. And I think, again, that's another sector yet again that we need to address. And from our side, our full commitment to the development of the value chains in Nigeria. We are looking at dairy in particular and associated value chains right now. Our commitment to working with all the partners, with the donor community and with the government to provide as much response as we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that beautiful welcome address, Head of Cooperation, European Union, Massimo De Luca. Moving on, let's welcome Chief of Party, Lebanon Enterprise Development Project, Changemakers International, Douglas Griffith. All right, there he is. You're welcome.
Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Chairman of Sahel Consulting, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Mission Director Jones. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today. And honestly, when I look out and I see so many people, I can see it's a real testimony to the role that Sahel is playing in the agriculture and food security space. It's really exciting, and I'm honored to be here. And I'm pleased to be representing Changemakers International. I was formerly the chief of party in Lebanon. I'm currently a managing director in our headquarters based in Washington, D.C. Changemakers is a leading development organization and a trusted partner of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, globally and here in Nigeria. When Sahel Consulting approached us about sponsoring this conference, we knew we needed to be present. The aim of this gathering, harnessing the power of innovation to ensure a future where all Nigerians have access to nutritious and affordable food, had echoes of our own organizational mission to promote meaningful change around the world, helping people to live healthier, more productive, and more independent lives. And what is more essential to that than food and nutrition security? In our 50-year history, Changemakers is no stranger to tackling this issue. We have applied a systems-level, resilience strengthening approach in many countries, anchored by private sector engagement and local partnerships. Indeed, here in Nigeria, for 15 years, from around 2002 to 2017, we were deeply engaged in strengthening food systems through a series of mostly USAID-funded activities, notably the Maximizing Agricultural Revenue and Key Enterprises and Target States Markets and Markets 2 activities, during which we helped to connect small farmers to markets, improve agricultural practices, and ensure the inclusion of women and children, and introducing models and technologies that are still being used today. In Uganda, where I was a team leader before Lebanon, in fact, we implemented for USAID similar Feed the Future programs, where we successfully boosted on-farm productivity and strengthened market linkages, promoted agriculture, production, trade, and related services as profitable enterprises for youth, and worked and assisted the government of Uganda to develop and roll out a pluralistic extension system, much like as envisioned here in the new extension policy, to reform the country's seed and agrochemicals policies to ensure that small farmers could access high quality and genuine inputs, and to increase awareness and adoption of product quality standards and the practices required to meet them, to facilitate trade and improve nutrition and food security. Today, in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, we are tackling the issue of the challenge of limited access to agricultural finance, again, through 2 USAID-funded projects where we've helped to facilitate over $165 million in financing for agriculture and agricultural enabling sectors. Lastly, also today, we're continuing work in agricultural food systems in Lebanon and Ukraine, 2 countries that are facing tremendous challenges, working with market systems actors to continue production that feeds their nations, and in the case of Ukraine, indeed the world. Through these experiences and many others, we've learned many important lessons, of which I'll only highlight 2. In fact, the first has already been mentioned, so I won't speak too long on it. Partnerships, the importance of partnerships. No single actor can reach development impact at scale. We need to work together. And local partners are most critical in helping to understand and identify the challenges and the solutions to address food security challenges, and are critical partners for investing in strong communities and resilient systems. Second lesson is the importance of facilitation. As development partners, we see one of our principal roles as bringing market system actors together, again, to identify and find solutions to problems, and to ensure that farmers and agribusinesses are central to that discussion so they can represent their own interests and their own needs. Today's event reflects both lessons, in as much as Sahel has brought us here as partners, representing a multitude of perspectives and positions within and around Nigeria's food and agricultural system, to consider how we can together put Nigeria on an irreversible path to food and nutrition security. So I look forward to being with you today, to our discussions, to contributing, and to learning from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Douglas Griffith, Chief of Party Lebanon Enterprise Development Project, Chemonix International. Once again, please let's put our hands together for him. Still bringing forth more goodwill messages. Very distinguished guests, please let's welcome on stage the Country Director, German Development Corporation Nigeria and ECOWAS, Marcus Wagner. You're welcome.
Good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, changemakers, and everyone present. It is a privilege to be with you today at the Sahel Changemakers Conference 2024, so I am truly grateful for this. This gathering brings together innovative minds, dedicated leaders, and passionate individuals who are committed to transforming our food systems for the better. This conference also marks a personal anniversary for me, as 2 years ago, it was the very first event I attended after coming back to Nigeria. Mizu, I am very much looking forward to the years ahead. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the organizing teams of this very important event, namely Aisha and her team, as well as the partners and supporters who have worked tirelessly to make this a reality. Your dedication to addressing the complex challenges in agriculture is most inspiring. You all are aware that the state of food insecurity is at a critical juncture. While we face significant challenges ranging from climate change to food insecurity, from governance to social inclusion, we also are witnessing remarkable progress, thanks to the efforts of changemakers like you. Your leadership, your innovation, and courage are driving the transformation that will shape the system we all desire. At GIZ, as a part of Team Germany, as well as Team Europe, we believe in the power of partnerships and collective action. The complex issues facing the sector require all of us, governments, civil society, private sector, local communities, and international partners, to come together and harness our collective strength. It is only through collaboration that we can achieve sustainable development, promote resilience, and unlock the full potential of a transformative agri-food system. For 5 decades now, as Her Excellency the German Ambassador to Nigeria, Ms. Annette Günther, has mentioned, German Development Corporation has worked alongside the federal ministries of Agriculture and Food Security, Environment and Natural Resources, Energy and Mineral Resources, Industry, Trade and Investment, Budget and Economic Planning, as well as the Nigerian civil society. Organizations, farmer groups, agribusinesses, financial institutions, private sector stakeholders, and other change agents. Together, we have made a significant stride in advancing agricultural transformation and promoting resilient livelihoods. GIZ in Nigeria and with the ECOWAS has a clear vision of sustainable and inclusive agri-food systems that support resilient livelihoods and food security across Nigeria, but also the ECOWAS region. Our work targets a multifunctional agri-food system that serves and feeds people, generates profit, operates with planetary boundaries, recognizes planetary boundaries, and is fit for purpose to sustain a growing population in Nigeria. Within the transformation of agri-food systems, GIZ, on behalf of our commissioning partners within the German government, as well as the European Union and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, leads 7 core projects aimed at value chains, trade, integration of like food and rice cultivation, agricultural finance, advisory services for agri-food system, carbon offsetting, and on improving the livelihoods of rural populations. Our endeavor is, as an implementing agency, is to bring the efforts of various donors together as we believe in integrated solutions as well as systematic partnerships. Last year, from this very podium, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, has very convincingly demonstrated the necessity of integration on the example of the Lake Chad. And you, Massimo, as well as the country director of Chemonics, have just stressed the importance of working better together in partnerships. In particular, I also would like to acknowledge the role of the young people and the women who are at the forefront of this transformation movement. Empowering the next generation of leaders and ensuring gender equity are not just a moral imperative, but they are also essential to achieving inclusive and sustainable development. We must continue to create and to hold open these spaces where their voices are heard, their ideas nurtured, and their potential is realized. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I want to reaffirm my belief in the country's potential to achieve transformation in the agricultural sector. The work being done today will have a profound impact, not only in Nigeria, but on the continent and also the world at large. Your ideas and solutions are the foundation of a brighter and more inclusive future for all. Allow me to wish you all a successful and productive conference. May it spark new ideas, foster meaningful partnerships, and lead to concrete actions that will transform the Sahel for the better. We, as part of Team Germany, will continue to support your ambitions, and I thank you very much.
Thank you very much also as well, Country Director, German Development Corporation, Nigeria and ECOWAS, Marcus Wagner. Once again, please let's put our hands together for him. And yes, we're still taking messages and addresses for right about now, the time we've all been waiting for, our keynote address from Mission Director, United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Nigeria. Very distinguished guests, please put your hands together as we welcome Melissa A. Jones on stage for her keynote address. You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you all. What a fantastic crowd. Honorable ministers, private sector, the press, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be with you all here to discuss this important issue of food security, progress, and partnerships. I am so pleased to come at the tail end because my colleagues who spoke before me said it so well. Yes, I am the USAID Mission Director, but I come to you really as a concerned global citizen. The scores of countries in Africa that are food insecure should give us all pause. When countries are unable to respond to agricultural crisis, be it lack of good governance, political will, or capacity, it leads to malnutrition and other devastating consequences. The reality is, we do not have enough finances in humanitarian assistance spaces to do what we need to do to ensure Nigeria's progress. So we must not only use our financial resources more strategically, but we need to deliver more impact per dollar by developing new, innovative approaches to finance food security initiatives. And that is why I'm so excited to be here with all of you. You are change makers. And I just want to thank the Sahel Group for its leadership year after year in supporting this important work. We will not RUTF, or ready-to-use therapeutic foods, a way out of any crisis. We must start with good innovative approaches to agriculture and rely on those individuals who produce the food in this country. This meeting could not be more timely. In Nigeria, think about it. We have 31 million people in this country and growing that are food insecure. We're talking about the population size or near the population size of Ghana. How is that possible? Well, given the soaring rise of inflation, over 37%, millions of households can no longer afford basic staples, resulting in severe hardship for communities and families. Of course, my colleagues before talked about how the flooding in the Northeast has exacerbated these challenges, with more than 800,000 metric tons of food lost, gone. It is clear that what we are doing, the status quo, is unacceptable. So it requires us to change. And remember, food systems encompasses more than just agriculture. They include production, distribution, market access, consumption, and waste management. Each one of these areas has its own ecosystem. And so our approach needs to be holistic. It needs to bring all of these areas and sectors together. That is why we can do more to increase the productivity of the smallholder farmer, strengthen the development of agriculture, boost incomes, improve nutrition, and weather future climate shocks. We can do this through the power of partnerships. The power of partnerships. USAID is in partnership with all of you, focusing on building robust, adaptive food systems that can withstand shock, both natural and man-made. This is a priority of the US government, and it's underscored by the Feed the Future initiative, which we launched in 2010. And it also follows our Food Security Act of 2016. Nigeria was selected one of 20 countries, and our plan is to intensify our focus in that area. So we know these challenges will take more than foreign aid. Let me be clear. And so I have 5 points that I want to leave you with. We must put food production first. And that means that we must address security in this country. We must ensure that farmers are able to farm. We also must modernize. We can no longer rely on rainwater alone. Our challenges are real. And that if we don't build out the supply chain, ensuring that the market receives the best quality foods, ensuring that when the harvest of tomatoes, we only see tomatoes, and then when tomatoes are gone, you never see them again for the rest of the year. We can do better. We can do better for Nigerians. My third point, we need to rely on innovation. Innovation, we can skip generations. We do not have to be linear. Nigerians have the power here to do the work, and we can actually be more innovative than we currently are and have more efficiencies because of it. My next important point is human capacity. Remember, to those that are here in the audience and to those that are in the press, I know you know this because I say this at every one of my meetings that I attend. By 2050, 1 in 5 Africans will be Nigerian. Nigeria is the power of the future. It is where we need to invest, the people of Nigeria. Because when you give the people the tools to do the work that needs to be done, they will deliver every time. And then lastly, colleagues, it really is a focus on partnerships. We must build stronger connections between policymakers, civil society, and academia to drive the sustainable transformation of Nigeria's food system. With proper infrastructure, policies, and support, Nigeria can meet its own food needs and become a player in the global food markets. Together, USAID and Nigeria will continue to work hand in hand to improve the performance of agri-food system, reduce food waste, and increase market access to smallholder farmers. We will jointly invest in technologies and infrastructures to promote food security and improve nutrition for future generations. We can do this. We can achieve this by working together. We are here with all of you to unlock the vast potential of Nigeria's agricultural sector, foster inclusive growth, and achieve lasting impact. I thank you for your time, and I thank Nigeria for its resilience and for the people to keep on keeping on. Thank you.
Together, we can achieve this, yes, if all hands are on deck. Thank you very much. Mission Director, United States Agency for International Development, USAID Nigeria, Melissa A. Jones. Her keynote address was on collaborative governance for food security in Nigeria. And we all pray that may it be better. Amen. Now, on that note, we do sincerely apologize. The honorable ministers that are supposed to be here with us this morning have both been summoned by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for a meeting, and then and they would be joining us much later before the event runs out. But then again, the Honorable Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON, has sent a representative in person of Dr. Sanjo Faniro, National Convener, UN Food Systems Pathway Implementation in Nigeria, Director, Social Development, Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. Very distinguished guests, please let's put our hands together as we welcome Dr. Sanjo Faniro up on stage. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, the Honorable MC. Like she rightly said, my minister was actually, he said I should come and stay waiting for him, but he had an important call from the villa. He now said that he sent his speech to me that I should read. If he's able to come, he will still make his remarks. So I'm making these remarks on behalf of the Honorable Minister, Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu. I'm Dr. Sanjo Faniro, the National Convener for the implementation of the Food System Transformation in Nigeria, and almost all stakeholders here are familiar with me. So I will read as presented. Let me stand on existing protocol. The Honorable Ministers here present, the head of agencies, the German ambassador to Nigeria, I think she has stepped out, and other leaders of the civil society organizations, distinguished participants, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm reading this speech on behalf of the Honorable Minister. If there's any error in it, I capture the error. I own the error. But if it is well done, then the Honorable Minister has the glory. Let me read as it's sent to me. The one we printed was the one that was prepared, but the one I'm reading is the one that is sent that I should read. So I am pleased to attend the 2024 Sahel Food System Changemakers Conference, themed Innovative Governance Models, a Pathway to Food Security in Africa. I congratulate the Sahel Consulting for sustaining this annual conference, which brings stakeholders in agriculture, nutrition, environment, finance, security, and technology together to collaborate and develop a roadmap for initiating and implementing public-private partnership to tackle the continent's existential food crisis. I understand that this year's conference aims to unite over 700 public, private, and non-profit leaders to address the challenges of effective governance plaguing Nigeria's food and nutrition sector by showcasing successful models and creating sustainable partnership. Let me assure you of our support for this worthy endeavor, which is in tandem with a critical plank of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration's 8-point agenda. So significant are agriculture and food security to the president that one of his first actions in office was to align the two sectors into a ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Subsequently, he demonstrated his commitment to the sector's development by granting substantial budgetary allocations, including creating the 100 billion naira National Agricultural Development Fund to de-risk the industry and make it attractive to investors. To support its ambitious target of cultivating 10 million acres of land, he has also made ample provisions in his Presidential Infrastructure Fund to rehabilitate dams for irrigation schemes. As a direct intervention against rising food costs, the President has made tons of rice from the strategic grains reserve available to states and removed tariffs on essential foods, including rice, wheat, maize, and sorghum. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a combination of factors has conspired to disrupt the food system and undermine food security in Nigeria and Africa. Climate change has brought droughts, flood, and temperature fluctuations, negatively impacting agriculture. A large population of farmers has limited access to water for irrigation and consumption. Productivity is low because of the limited adoption of modern farming processes and inadequate inputs. Even limited cultivation is encumbered by post-harvest losses due to insufficient storage, transportation, and processing infrastructure. Added to all this are the debilitating impact of violent conflicts and poverty. Conflict engender displacement that disrupt food production and distribution, while poverty restricts access to food. Of course, there is the looming challenge of inadequate finance. While President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is taking deliberate steps to tackle these challenges in line with his Renew Hope Agenda strategy, it agrees with the idea of this conference that a multifaceted approach involving the government, the private sector, development partners, and civil society is needed to find a sustainable way forward. In this regard, in line with its statutory coordinating mandate, the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning is best suited to receive and ensure the implementation of your recommendations. I assure you that this will be done using our well-established structure. The ministry's planning function empowers it to coordinate policy implementation by all federal ministry, departments, and agencies. As the Secretariat of the National Economic Council, it works closely with all the state governments on national development planning, even as it coordinates bilateral and multilateral cooperation and agreement for the Federation. In performing these functions, our approach has been to scale up collaboration and synergy in all issues that foster economic growth and development, reduce poverty, and increase food availability. We support programs for vulnerable populations, collaborate with international partners to leverage those resources, expertise, and technology to improve food security and adopt innovation governance models that promote transparency, accountability, and citizen participation in the food security and food system transformation agenda in Nigeria. All these are to ensure that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 8-point agenda achieves prosperity and improve our valued citizens' welfare. Ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you of the government commitment to achieving food security and improved nutrition through healthy diets and social protection interventions at all levels. We understand that efforts of all stakeholders, that is the government at all levels, the private sector, the religious and community leaders, families, and individuals are needed to build a sustainable and resilient food system in Nigeria. And we are committed to building the necessary coalition to achieve this. I also want to add that the ministry has ensured that all state governments are keyed into the food system transformation pathway, which is an initiative that was introduced by the United Nations. And with this, there is a strategy developed which has been adopted by all the commissioners of economic planning, Commission for Agri, Commission for Health, to implement the 78 recommendations that was presented to the UN during the first UN Food Systems Summit in New York in September 2021. I therefore want to appreciate again the unrelenting efforts of Sahel Consulting, which we all recognize as Nigeria Changemaker, for organizing the conference and also for your high-level impact programs committed to addressing some of the complex issues in the agricultural landscape that enhances the smallholder farmers. The smallholders' livelihood, promote gender equality and social inclusion through economic empowerment and promotion of food system resilience. We can create a comprehensive and innovative governance model that promotes food security in Nigeria and transforms our food system from the farm to the dining table. I wish all of us successful deliberations. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Sonjol Faniro, National Convener, UN Food Systems Pathway Implementation in Nigeria, representing Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON. Once again, please let's give him a round of applause. And at this juncture, I'd like to invite our distinguished speakers up on stage, please, for a group photograph. Please, let's put our hands together for all our distinguished speakers so far. All the speakers we've had so far to please come up on stage for a group photograph. And then right after which we'd proceed to the exhibition tour. After the program, you just take them. You tell them that you're taking them for the tour.
Please, if you hear your name, please come off stage to be part of the group photo. Dr. Fanina, please don't go. Dr. Howdo, please join us on stage. Okay, please join us on stage. Lekon, please join us on stage, please. Andrea, please come join us on stage. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to lead the VIPs through the exhibition work, but please stay tuned. The Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture is on his way. He's going to arrive very soon, and I think we can go into the next agenda item. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Temitope Adigoroye. Right now, we're going to head on for the exhibition tour to be led by Temitope. But in the meantime, please let's remain seated. Please, the program continues. And then later on, we can break for tea. But at this moment, our very distinguished guests, please permit me to welcome Dr. Tayo Aduloju, CEO, Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, for a paper presentation on Seeds of Progress, Rethinking Governance for Nigeria's Food and Nutrition Security. He's ably represented by Dr. Faith Iyoha. Yes, Dr. Faith Iyoha is here from NESG. Please, let's put our hands together for Dr. Faith. You're welcome.
My presentation has been loaded. They're supposed to give me a pointer. Okay, please ask. Just ask. Is it ready? They should give me a pointer. The pointer is
All right,
there.
let me help you with something. You can just start first. Let me.
I can't start because it's not here. you know how to operate this? Okay. Thank you. Yes, it's not displaying there. Yeah. Yeah. Not here. But it's supposed to display here as well. It's supposed to display here. Okay. Should I? Of course, of course. I would use my paper. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Standing on existing protocols, I want to acknowledge the head of ministries, departments and agencies of government, captains of industries, members of the international communities, political parties representatives, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to welcome you to this auspicious event of the Sahel Systems Changemakers Conference. I bring greetings from the CEO of NESG, Dr. Tayo Adoloju. Is unavoidably absent. And my name is Faith Iyua. I'm a senior economist at the Nigeria Economist Summit Group. This morning, I will be looking at seeds of progress, rethinking governance for Nigerians' food security, 2024 Sahel's Food System Changemakers Conference, held today, 24th of October, 2014. The outline is basically in 4 phases. We'll look basically at the introduction, which look at the state of the economy and how it affects food security. We talk about why food security in Nigeria, the current conditions, and turning the tide, rethinking food security governance. The first point to note is that we are experiencing a global poly-crisis, and Nigeria is not different. But specifically, our poly-crisis is characterized by macroeconomic instability and worsening social outcomes. So if you look at the chart there, you see that macroeconomic instability has gone up. It has increased in recent times from about 1.5 in 2018 to what we have today, about 3.5. Even if we saw a slight downward trend 2 months ago due to decline in inflation, but we can see that it is going upward. So essentially, that's one of the pointers to tell us that monetary policy alone is not enough to curb macroeconomic instability. And essentially, this instability is shaped by elevated inflation rate. This has increased the number of extreme poverty in recent times. Extreme poverty has gone up to 56% in 2014. In 2024, currently, from about 40.1%. And we also have high multi-dimensional poverty, about 63%, which is about 113 million Nigerians in multifaceted poverty. And we see a level of high employment amidst increasing poverty. What this tells us is that we are experiencing a case of working poverty, where you have high employment, especially in the informal sector, where the wage rates are not decent. So what you see is that the level of poverty will go up, even if people are actually working and doing something significant. So when we talk about instability, one major issue around instability is the rising inflation rate. And a major driver of inflation rate in Nigeria has been food prices. Food prices has gone up from about 33% in December 2023 to what we have today, about 38% as at September 2024. So you see a sharp increase, and you see the amount of people that are expected to face acute food insecurity in 2024 is projected to increase to 26.5 million from about 24.9 million people that it was in 2023. Why food security? Essentially, food security is synonymous to a robust economic growth. Why did I say that? It is a healthy citizen that is well-nourished that drives the engine of economic growth. The fundamental health and well-being of any individual starts from what we consume. Food insecurity is also important for macroeconomic stability. One of the drivers of macroeconomic instability has been inflation, and largely driven by food availability and the cost of food. It's also important for social stability. When people are hungry, they are bound to go into social vices. So food insecurity is also important for sustainable development. It's also important for economic diversification. Nigeria's food insecurity has been in systemic deficit over time. We've seen a supply gap where the demand is always outpacing supply. We've also seen food deficits amplified by geopolitical crisis and disruption of the global value chain. Our Nigeria Hunger Index, as a result, have weakened, and food insecure Nigerians have risen to 28 million, to 100 million as at first quarter of 2024 from 28 million that we have pre-COVID. The urgency for food insecurity is highlighted by this chart that is being displayed. And what we can see is that every state in Nigeria is either in food security crisis or already stressed. This chart was produced as at the first quarter of 2024. Now, what are the drivers of food insecurity? Especially, there are three drivers of food security crisis in Nigeria, and this is what we call the trilemma. The first driver that we can talk about is food availability. The other one talks about accessibility, and lastly, affordability. Let's look at each of them in brief. So when we talk about food availability, we have seen restraint in productivity. Low agricultural productivity have reduced the availability of food. In the first half of 2024, agricultural output declined to 0.8%. Agricultural output growth declined to 0.8% from 1.1% that it was in 2023. And this is what we have seen in recent times. And a major cause of this deficit has been insecurity in our farms. Some of them are a result of climatic conditions. The basic drivers of food availability include poor agricultural input, poor market access and value chain development, poor access to credit or limited access to credit, and you have poor coordination of food policies. The second trilemma is accessibility. And when we talk about accessibility, we look at the route to market, the difference between what it costs the farmers to produce food and what is being sold to the consumer. And this is what the route to market tells us. And from this, we can see there's a gap between the inflation rate experienced by the producer and the consumer. This wedge essentially is a result of 5 major things. The first point there is post-harvest losses. We also have restricted trade and market access. prolonged conflict and pervasive insecurity. We also have poor agricultural infrastructure, uncompetitive environment for agribusiness. In terms of food availability, we talk about the income of the consumer. So essentially, we've talked about the point that inflation has gone up from 33% to about 38%. That is food inflation. But when you look at the consumer's income, the income is being eroded by elevated inflation rate as well as depreciating currency. So we take an example of the minimum wage. So assume we have a minimum wage of 30,000, which has been over time. When you deflate that with inflation and exchange rate, what you find is that the minimum wage is 20% lower than what it was in December 2023. Food inflation, as we said, is one of the major drivers. Now, the driver of low food availability is rising population, increasing number of people that demands for food. Then we also have growing internally displaced individuals, macroeconomic instability, and prevalence of informal employment and working poverty, as highlighted earlier. How do we then rethink governance and institution response to food insecurity trilemma? Okay. So one of the things that we need to do is to strengthen immediately the National Food Security Council governance. Is to also highlight the imperative or urgency for hunger response that focus on getting food to Nigerians that will starve today without support. It is also important to jointly design a program that curates with the coordination across the subnationals to contain the at-risk number of children that we now have at scale. It is important to also expand the Nigerian food bank operations across Nigerians. It is also important to review the agricultural financing value chain and the various institutions within the value chain. The call to action. How do we then end hunger in Nigeria? The first point is that we need to broaden advisory capacity. We need to strengthen collaboration mechanism. It is important to implement the National Hunger Response Strategy that distinctly that is different from broad food system response efforts. We need to revise institutional roles, particularly transitioning the Central Bank of Nigeria role in food security coordination is imperative for streamlining operation. It is also important to mobilize resources and expertise across various sectors. It is also important to establish a hunger roundtable that draw on past experiences and respond sharply to any crisis. It is also important to leverage existing food manufacturing infrastructures and prioritize imports of seeds and fertilizers that are crucial for addressing immediate food